Hey, what's up guys? In this video, let's go over how to use your Redline 360c when you're out on the road. Now, this is the second of a two-part video series. The first part of this video series went over how to do the initial setup and programming of the detector to kind of customize it to optimize the performance, minimize false alerts. In this video, we're going to go over how to use the detector, so the different buttons, muting, lockouts, things like that, and when you're on the road, actually how to kind of get the best experience with the detector. Now, the detector has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi available, which is going to add a ton of functionality, so let's go ahead and get that set up real quick, and then we'll go in and kind of go over the buttons here, plus how everything interfaces there. So starting off, when you're in the app, you're going to want to go over here and then go to Devices, and if it's the first time that you've connected, your Redline 360c should actually pop up right here on the bottom. You're going to click on that. It's going to ask you if you want to hit, or if you want to pair, you'd hit yes, and then it's going to connect to the detector for you. Once it's connected like this, we'll be able to go back here and we can go into the detector settings. Now, again, we're going to be able to go in here and adjust all the different settings and stuff, which I covered in the other video, but I also want to talk quickly about the Wi-Fi connectivity, which is available here. The Redline 360c can connect to the cloud to share alerts in real time with other drivers. That's available here through the phone if you're connected in the phone like this. It's also available if you have a Wi-Fi hotspot available in your car. Plus, if you have it connected to Wi-Fi, that's going to allow it to automatically check for any updates to the red light camera database, the Defender database, or any firmware updates to fix bugs and add new features. So the cloud sharing stuff, as well as the speed limit on the display, that's available for both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, but the firmware updates and database updates, that's Wi-Fi only. Now, to connect the detector to Wi-Fi, you're going to want to first connect your phone to a Wi-Fi hotspot, the one that you want the detector to connect to. This only works for 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi hotspots, by the way. 5 gigahertz is not supported. So I've got my phone connected to it, and I'm going to hit connect to Wi-Fi. Then you go over here, you type in your password, and then you hit join, and it's going to connect to the Wi-Fi hotspot. Now, once it does, you'll actually see the color of the speed limit like this, the background of it change to white. When the speed limit is white, that's your indication that it's connected to Wi-Fi. If the color of the speed limit background is the same as the display color, that just lets you know that you're connected by Bluetooth only. So just a quick heads up about that. Now for the next thing, let's go in and start actually messing with the buttons here on top of the detector and what you'll actually use driving. So first thing, you've got your volume controls right here on either side. They kind of have these little raised nubs to make it easier to find. You just press and hold. Set the volume level that you want, and it beeps a couple times so that you can hear the volume level, and then it goes away. You also have the ability, of course, to mute any alerts when they pop up, and that'll happen here with the mute button right on top. I've got my low-speed muting set up, so it automatically muted itself, but you can just hit the mute button like this, and you'll see it says mute, and it also showed mute here on screen. You'll notice it also prompted me and asked if I want to lock out the signal. Now, the detector has auto lockouts built in, meaning as you drive around, it's automatically going to figure out where stationary sources of false alerts are. Speed signs, automatic door openers in drugstores, things like that. But if you want to maybe manually lock out a signal, say you're passing a speed sign and you're sure this is a false alert, when that signal pops up, you're just going to double press the mute button here. There we go, and now you can see it says stored, and now the signal is actually grayed out on screen. It's muted, and you'll also notice that the arrows went away. You can also do the same thing here with the lockout button here on the phone. If you want to unlock, you can just double press the button like this, and it says unlock, and we'll just press it once here to mute it real quick. Now, a quick note, you'll notice it also says police spotted. If we want, and we know that this is a legitimate alert, we can actually hit the police spotted alert here, or the button right in the phone. Now, the way the cloud stuff works, by default, it's going to automatically report any KA alerts, as well as any laser alerts. Those will directly go to the cloud. You don't have to mess with the phone or the detector or anything. It's all completely hands-free, which is really nice while you're driving. Now, there's a lot of false alerts on X and K bands, so it's not going to automatically report those. So if you want to report them, you actually need to go into the app and hit the button that says that this is a legitimate alert, and it'll report that to the cloud. Now, another thing you can do is, let's say you pass an officer on the side of the road and maybe your detector doesn't go off. He's maybe doesn't have his radar gun turned on, or let's say he's getting set up to shoot laser or something, and maybe he shoots a car next to you, but not you, so your detector doesn't go off. If you want to manually report that to the cloud, you can just press and hold the mute button, and then it'll display reported on screen and post that to the cloud, even though there's no radar or laser that triggered your detector. And you also can do the exact same thing by pressing and holding the mute button on the remote power cord as well. Next, we also have a sensitivity button here on kind of the top left. We can tap this, and it's going to go through all of the different sensitivity options, which I explained in the previous video. Again, in a nutshell, highway mode is going to be full sensitivity on all bands at all times. Auto mode kind of reduces the sensitivity around town to cut down false alerts, raises it higher again on the highway when you're driving faster. Auto no X, same thing, but just disables X band. Auto low-K, same idea as auto mode, except it always keeps K-band sensitivity really low, even at higher speed. X-band sensitivities, again, will still vary with speed. Next, we have the brightness option. So we've got our automatic display brightness like this, if you want it to get maybe brighter in the daytime, dimmer at night. Moving on, we also have our full dark. So if you want the display off at all times, you can still hear the alerts, but nothing will ever show up here. So maybe you want a really stealthy looking detector. You can still see everything here on the phone, but the detector will always be visually turned off. We'll hit the mute button like that. So you can see, anyway, it'll still show that. And then if we want, we can still change our display brightness and stuff. You can see our arrows pop back up, display information, all that stuff is back up again. Now in the middle here, we have our mark button. You can press this and you press it again to confirm. This can be useful if this is a location that you want to be notified every time you come by again. Let's say it's a place where, you know, cops commonly like to hang out and do speed traps. If you want to get notified every time you approach this area, you can use the mark button there. I personally never use it at all, but it is there. And then we also have the power button way back here. Just press and hold to turn the detector off. A quick note, the mount is pretty nice as well. It's got a nice easy magnetic mount, so easy to kind of mount and dismount. A quick note about that, there's a little bit of a lip right here on the mount, so just make sure it kind of tucks right here under this part of the mount, like that, and then you can hang it down. I've seen a couple people who just sort of put it like this, and they're like, oh, it's magnetically attached. Kind of, but it's not really great. So just make sure you kind of put it on the lip like that first, and then it'll be nice and solid and strong like that. Another thing we can quickly mention is some kind of key combinations at startup that you can use to do things like maybe check the detector's firmware, or you can also maybe reset to factory default options. Let's do that real quick too. Now starting with the detector turned off, if we want to check the detector's firmware, we're going to press and hold the mark and mute button right here at startup. Just think M&M, mark and mute. So we're going to press and hold those, and we're going to go ahead and plug in the detector and power it on. So you'll notice it says, boom, we're at firmware version 1.3, and then it has your serial number displayed right underneath it, which I have blurred out. But again, it's a quick and easy way to check what firmware version you have currently loaded. Then to go into the detector, just hit the power button like this, and it's going to boot right up. Now, another thing is if you want to maybe reset back to factory defaults, instead of mark and mute, you can press mark and bright at startup instead.
Factory settings restored.
And boom, now we have a detector set back up to factory default options. So anyway, yeah, there's just a quick look here at how to use the detector while you're driving. Obviously, it's designed to just kind of be pretty plug and play. You put it up there and maybe mute a detector or something, hit the mute button. But other than that, you don't have to mess with it too much. It's just kind of designed to sort of do everything on its own. So yeah, that's just a quick look here at the Redline 360c. Again, down in the video description, I've got a link to my setup guide, the first part of the video, as well as the article, if you'd like to read over it, link to where you can purchase the detector, as well as my review of the detector and some other information that you may find helpful. So anyway, yeah, there you go. There's just a look here at kind of getting up to speed here with your Redline 360c. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully this has been helpful for you all, and I hope you're doing well. See you in the next video.